So ever since I got a Wii for Christmas when I was 4, I've pretty much been playing video games for all of my life. They're by far the media form that I've consumed the most, and have helped shape me into who I am today. So today, I want to reflect on media consumption as a whole and explore my personal relationships and experiences with different forms of media, and also how they can coexist an area of fulfilling and draining media forms in one single medium. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get straight into it. The first thing that I want to separate really quickly, and what this video is mainly going to be about, is the difference between what I've dubbed as online and offline media. There is a bit of overlap between these two categories, and I'd also like to say they both have their benefits and downsides, sharing some as well, but why I most often stick to the offline part of the two. So when I'm talking about online media, I'm pretty much just talking about the stuff that you basically need an internet connection to access. And this is a pretty broad category, but I'm mainly talking about social media, so the YouTube video you're watching right now, streaming service era films and TV shows, online dominant or online only games, streaming era music, etc., stuff like that. And then offline would be the natural inverse of this, with stuff like single player or local multiplayer games like the original Halo, books, films in a cinema, and pretty much any form of physical media that you can find. The main distinction between these categories is that one requires the use of an internet connection, and on the surface, this doesn't really seem like much of a difference, especially for films, music, and TV shows, but I think there is a pretty big psychological difference that I kind of want to explore in this video about consuming media on and off of the internet. But before we talk about this, I want to make it pretty clear that I am not talking about quality-wise there being a difference. As like anything in life, there is a balance between good and bad in everything. Some of my favorite albums, for example, in recent memory, have come out for and been designed for a streaming era. In particular, the genre of rage, which a lot of people seem to be pretty divided on, but I personally love and get a lot out of. Some examples of some records that I really like is Whole Lotta Red and I Am Music by Playboi Carti, Revenge Seekers by Jane Remover, which was probably my album of the year last year, along with a lot of Dead Air affiliated artists and projects. That would be some Lucy Bedrock or some Slayer. Along with some more opium labels like A Great Chaos from Ken Carson. I really like that. Pretty much anything Osama-san did in 2025, and Che's work on Rest in Bass and also the Fully Loaded EP he dropped earlier this year. I've been listening to that a lot recently, and that's been really good. I'd also personally take it a step further and can appreciate further experimentation with industrial and noise sounds of this genre. In particular, High and More Anxiety from Too Slimy, and a lot of Blood's work in 2025, specifically with Rascal 51, which is probably my favorite project of the genre of rage as a whole. I listen to a pretty wide range of stuff from all across the years, and if anything, I think that the streaming age has been a wonder for genre experimentation in particular, and some of my favorite albums of all time, again, have come out in this era. Outside of music as well, some of my most cherished memories in games like Minecraft or Terraria just can't happen without an internet connection. Like playing with friends on stuff like Bed Wars or Modded Calamity that you just can't get really anywhere else. And I'd also like to show some love to some TV shows that I've been watching recently as well, that have definitely been made for streaming services in mind. I guess the main two that I, in recent memory, would be the latest season of Invincible, which wrapped up a couple months ago. I think it's probably my favorite series finale of the series so far. And I've also been watching ReZero as well, and fucking Aura Monster got animated, which I've just been so pumped about. I've been following the amount of bullshit that has just come from the ReZero and mainly the Media Talk community since probably the Aura Monster meme started blowing up, which was back in like October, maybe even late September. Just crazy shit. I'm really happy that finally got animated. I'm very, very excited to see where this week's episode takes off from the franchise. I got a little bit off topic there, but my main point is that, again, I'm purely talking about the psychological difference between consuming something with and without the use of an internet connection. I think there's a general sentiment that shifts years every now and then that things back in X time period were so much better than they are now. And I just want to clear up that I am not one of those people. I am very, very happy to be alive and happily consuming new things every now and then. And while I do think that some industries, mainly the film industry, maybe not as recent, but I think just generally throughout the more recent years, have been suffering a bit with the transition into the streaming era, I'd say overall, I am not a doomer, and I am definitely happy with a lot of things coming out right now, especially ReZero, man, and eventually those fucking Steel Ball Run episodes that they have been locking up in the vault. David Productions, I'm gonna fucking kill you, man. I want to see it now! Anyways, with that out of the way, I'd firstly like to talk about how offline media can just very much clear and reset our minds. I find the easiest example of this can be found in books and games. With games, for example, if I'm finishing up a long-ass day, and I'm talking long-ass day, I'm waking up early to go to the gym or go to uni classes and then hit the gym sometime during or afterwards in the day, I'm coming back home and I'm turning on my big gaming computer. I got a big-ass gaming computer. My first thought is probably not going to be, I should queue up some Deadlock and Overwatch games with my dork-ass fucking unemployed bum-ass friends and tilt for 3 hours. That is the last thing on my mind! Now, that's not to say that online games don't have their place. They are a great way to unwind with friends socially, and I will hop on the lock from time to time to do so. But there is a very big difference between unwinding in a social setting versus alone. Brief little bit of context here as well that further applies to my case. I'm on the spectrum. I'm pretty high up on there, but I'm still there. So I kind of want to be alone a lot more than, you know, the average person. And I tend to find myself wanting to just kind of chill by myself as opposed to hopping on the lock, doing my best not to int and make either my friends or my 3 and 7 warden yell at me in VC about the most menial, inefficient macro I might have executed. I would much rather turn on something like a Demon Souls in the background here, or something like an old Resident Evil game, which is a great franchise that I've been getting into recently as well, and just kind of play that for the night. When you spend a lot of time in a very focused ambient environment by yourself, and I mean really just immerse yourself in a world without any outside noise going on around you, it just does wonders for lowering your general level of stress. And this is even better when you start to factor in other things you can do to make the experience even comfier. Like right now, as I'm writing this script, I'm wearing one of those giant-ass hoodies that's really comfortable, and after writing this script, I'm probably just gonna go hop on some Halo 1 and chill for the rest of the night. Another piece of offline media that I've really come to appreciate, especially recently, is books. I've started to get back into reading after putting it off for a couple years, and it has just done wonders for keeping me focused and intentional with my activities, but honestly, more impactfully, just keeping me off of my phone, especially late at night. I mentioned this in my previous video, but sometimes I get screen times on single apps that would go into 3+ hours, and a lot of this would be at night when I'm trying to sleep, but when I decide to put my phone down on a charger outside of arm's reach and just read, I find it a lot easier to manage my sleep schedule and get good consistent hours, and the only times that I really just go off plan and don't do this is if I'm coming home late from either a long night or a long shift and I don't really have the mental capacity to kind of start to put my phone away. But I'd say that generally on most days, I'm pretty good with this. People honestly try to argue for the physical results of consuming media like games and reading, like better memory and better, faster reaction times, way too much for my liking personally. And while these benefits are definitely real and there are some studies that do back them up, I feel like they're more of just an additional side effect to the main benefit of being just a relatively healthy way to just kind of turn off your brain and chill out and just decompress from a long-ass day. This, to me, is by far a way more compelling reason to consume these forms of media, as the other stuff just comes across as stuff that I'd be saying to my mum so that I can play more games instead of studying for school when I was like 15. Now, speaking on my more personal relationship with offline media, while I'd say it has been a key part of my life, there have definitely been aspects that have been unwillingly absent from periods of my life uh, for long periods of time, but I'm in a pretty chill spot right now and can pretty much choose to consume whatever the hell I want. So I got my Wii back in Christmas when I was 4, and I instantly fell in love with it. I was playing a lot of Wii Sports, and especially Wii Sports Resort, the first sword fighting mission in that game, the little sword fighting mini game. I just fucking love that shit. And eventually, I got into stuff like Minecraft through my mum's iPad, and eventually picking up an Xbox 360 for my birthday when I was 8. And I got other stuff like a PS4 when I was 11, and my first gaming PC when I was about 12 or 13. However, for a period of about when I was 14 to 17, my parents didn't let me play anything during school days, during school weeks, which honestly, looking back at it, was probably for the better, as I did still have plenty of weekends to play games, and I know that people who were unlucky to not even get those, but I was still very pissed and openly expressed how much I wasn't a fan of this new change. Now, however, rather than filling in this time with studying, my dumbass 14-year-old brain filled it in with more unhealthy forms of consumption. And I did start getting to some stuff that wasn't too bad, like anime, which I am very happy that I did eventually get into, as I got to see some heat, like the original 1997 adaptation of Berserk, which is still probably my favorite anime of all time. The fourth part of JoJo's in particular, that was great. Death Note, Gurren Lagann, and just many, many more. And alongside this, I was also listening to a lot more music, which I'm also very happy that I got into. And I also started collecting a lot of physical vinyl. And I have a pretty tight collection right now, which I have. But unfortunately, I also was filling in a lot of this time with social media instead, and that just completely fried my brain. I stopped reading as much. I was never a really big fan of proper, more traditional books until very recently, but I eventually just stopped reading manga as well, and I was arguably wasting my time way more than I ever possibly could have been playing games. And the overconsumption of social media to my small ass, dumbass brain, with other factors as well, like COVID, which was going on at this time, and my undiagnosed autism, I eventually developed major depressive disorder, and I've just kind of been living with that diagnosed for the last like 3 or 4 years now. Now, on reflection, I definitely did not have the proper mindset to take advantage of this limited time that I had to play video games, and I'm in no way blaming my parents at all, because ultimately it was me who spent my time that was taken away from video games and just spent that on more distracting stuff like social media. But even then, I still didn't manage to play a good amount of games. Prime Fortnite was wrapping up, so I didn't really miss out on too much there. But slowly over the more semester holidays, where I just did kind of have that freedom to play whatever the hell I wanted, I did actually manage to beat two of my favorite games of all time, which have helped kind of shape me into the person that I am today and what I enjoy. That being the original Dark Souls, which was my introduction into Soulsborne games, and also the original Persona 5, which was my introduction into JRPGs, and more importantly for me in particular, the Mega 10 franchise, which I'm still very much exploring, but I've just gotten a lot of memories out of. And I also managed to find some time every now and then to kind of hide playing games during these more weekday periods. It was a lot easier during COVID, but I managed to find some time outside of COVID as well. And I did chip away at some stuff like GTA 5 and Red Dead 2 as well. So again, it wasn't like I just could not play video games at all during this period. It was just very, very cut back. And I could have spent that time a lot better, but I didn't. And oh well. And again, a lot of this time, because I was on social media, was really just a bit of a blur for me, and I really just didn't get time to properly start playing more games until this ban got lifted for me when I was about 17, which was a pretty bad time because I was going into my final year of school, so I was going to be spending a lot of my time studying anyways, but oh well. I got to go home, and rather than just scrolling TikTok and Instagram for 3 hours straight, I could just, play some Dark Souls 2 or some Devil May Cry. So I'm not really complaining too much. Now that we've gotten a lot of the depressing shit out of the way, it's time to talk about the fun stuff, what I'm consuming now! So again, I wouldn't really classify myself as someone who is exclusively offline, as like I said, there is still a plethora of benefits to stuff that is online. In particular, I'm a little bit late to the party here, but I listened to the albums that Drake dropped on Iceman Friday, and he went free for free. I really liked all the albums. If I had to pick a favorite one, I'd honestly probably go towards Maid of Honor. I've also been listening to the other drops that weren't Iceman on Iceman Friday, which was the new Lucky album, which I thought was alright. And I also listened to the new Little Shine project as well, that he dropped before serving about 3 years, I think I read, which is crazy. And I've also been listening to a little bit of Nine Vicious as well. I don't know much about him, other than, like many underground rappers, he does have a fair few allegations. But I did check out Emotions and Before Emotions about a week ago, and I did like them a bit, especially the second half of Blowing Emotions, the last track on Emotions. That's just great. And outside of that, for music, it's mainly just been listening to some West Side Gun and revisiting some old favorites like the First Strokes album, some Talking Heads, bit of Danny Brown, Blood's projects that he had in 2025. I wasn't really a big fan of his latest project, but Rascal 51 and a lot of the highlights off of Pain as well are just great. And I also recently listened to Discovery by Daft Punk as well, which was also a really nice album. That about wraps up music. And as far as books go, I have been on the grind recently. I finished and finally caught up to Berserk, which I'm very, very happy about, as, like I said, the 1997 anime of the Golden Age arc is probably my favorite anime of all time. And seeing where the story left off before and after Miura's passing was just insane. I've also been reading a bit of Nana, which has been great, and getting into more kind of proper traditional books. I have been reading The Great Gatsby, which I really liked. I also read The Little Prince, which is also great. And I also read Breakfast at Tiffany's, which I did get a little bit lost in, but I enjoyed the ride for a bit, even though if it did drag on for a little bit. And right now, I'm reading Great Expectations, and I just finished the first volume last night, and it is pretty interesting. I am a little bit lost, I'm not gonna lie, as there's just a lot of moving parts, but some particular highlights that kind of stand out to me right now. I think that Pip's a pretty cool main character. Joe is really cool as well. And the new character that they introduced very recently, Mr. Jaggers, that guy is just fucking funny as hell. So I've been loving to see his interactions with some of the characters, and I'll also be looking forward to seeing his role in the second volume. And after I finish Great Gatsby, which hopefully I'll be able to get done by the end of the month, I'm also going to be picking up Vinland Saga where I left off, as I recently just got the second volume of that, and I can start reading that, which is, I'm really happy about getting around to doing that. Moving on to TV, I recently finished up the Boys and Invincibles seasons. Now, I wasn't really a big fan of how The Boys ended. I think that overall the show's pretty fine, but if you want a little kind of brief, my 2 cents into it, they should not have gotten away with an ending that clean with the time frame that they gave themselves and the position that they left off in the penultimate episode. That's kind of my general take on the Boys finale. I feel like they kind of just wrote themselves out. But the Invincible ending was great, and again, I really, really enjoyed that. It's probably my favorite finale of an Invincible season so far for the show. And I'm also currently watching ReZero, and I'm really excited to see where that story goes in the latest episode. Alongside, I've been chipping away at part 6 of JoJo's. As I finished up the manga years ago, but I barely remember anything from it, so I'm re-consuming it through the anime, which I'll just be doing while I wait for Steel Ball Run to eventually come out, which hopefully comes out this year, sometime soon. As far as games go, I've slowly been chipping away at Pokemon Platinum over the past few months, and I think I'm finally going to lock in and actually finish it by the end of this month. I also just recently finished up GTA 4, getting the deal ending, which I think was just crazy and a really good thematic conclusion to the game. My only real issue with GTA 4, with it outside of anything that the game did intentionally, was that the final mission of the ending that I got is just broken on modern systems. I was playing it on an Xbox Series X, and because the physics engine has some stuff tied to the FPS, one of these sections where you need to mash is literally impossible to do on the system. So I had to get an old massage gun that I got for Christmas and use it on the A button of the game to beat it, which was just fucking annoying as shit. But I got it done, and I really did enjoy everything else kind of surrounding GTA 4. I probably wouldn't rate it above Red Dead 2, Vice City, San Andreas, and GTA 5, but I still did really enjoy my time with it. I've also been playing Demon Souls on the PS3, as you can see in the background footage here, and without revealing too much, I do have some plans for it that I want to kind of get around to doing, and I'm hopefully going to be finishing up around the end of this month, if not by the end of the semester holidays. And I'm also been getting back into Halo Combat Evolved, as I started the campaign years ago on Heroic, but I struggled to get to the halfway point, which I only really just finished up a little bit before recording this. I'm still not sure if I want to lower the difficulty down to normal and beat the rest of the game on that. Not even out of a too hard point of view, but more of just enjoyability on my first run through of the game. But I'm getting through Heroic. I'm really gritting my teeth here, but I'm surviving, and hopefully I get Halo finished up also sometime soon, hopefully by the end of this month. That about covers my media consumption journey for now, along with this video. I went off on a few different tangents here, so I hope that most of the video was pretty coherent, and that my main point of why I prefer consuming offline media rather than online, with that being that the lack of connection on the internet gives me a much needed personal alone time that is very hard to come by nowadays. I hope that got across all right. And I didn't kind of lose a few people with the directions that I kind of took this video in. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you did, and leave a comment telling me what media you're consuming right now, online or offline. Thanks for watching again, and take care.